Toro y Moi is Chaz Bundick, an American songwriter, producer and multi-instrumentalist. In 2009, Toro y Moi gained worldwide acclaim, pioneering a genre of music dubbed chillwave, and continues to produce genre-blending smashes on his never-ending musical safari. You're tuned in to Roots to Grooves.
That was quite an intro.
That was tight. What's up, Jay? How we doing?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. This is Roots to Grooves. I'm Roots. This is Grooves.
Yeah, I guess.
We make up Roots to Grooves.
There we go. Interchangeable sometimes. I was going to say numero what, but we lost track because...
We still get to choose which numeros these all are, I guess.
Yeah.
The beauty of creating your own content ahead of time.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, we're super prepared, guys. Like,
look at that.
I don't even know how many episodes we've had.
Too many to count, Jay.
Yeah,
too many to count.
Too many to count. Yeah, it doesn't matter anymore. Can't count them.
we got Toro y Moi.
Yeah.
Y Moi. For the longest
Toro
time, I was saying...
Yeah.
I used to think it was Toro y Moi, because that's what it looks like, I would say.
Yeah. It's French. It's a mixture of Spanish and French is what I heard.
The bull and me.
Yeah. So Toro being the bull and moi being French.
It's not
for me.
Moi. Like a kiss? That's not the same thing? I mean...
I don't know. Is it a kiss?
I don't know where I'm getting that.
I don't know where you got that from.
Moi. Like, isn't that the kiss sound?
Oh, moi.
Like, moi.
I guess.
I don't know how you spell that.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. You're digressing already.
Yeah, I digress.
It's only 5 minutes into... No, I'm just kidding.
Let's get into this, though. Toro y Moi. I was living in Hawaii when I first heard this guy, and just a buddy,
right?
we were making some music, turned me on to him. Like, who's this guy? Sounds cool. Got a cool name.
How long ago was that then? What year?
Like 2015 or so.
Okay.
2015, 2016, somewhere right there.
Yeah.
I can't remember my buddy's name, unfortunately, but he turned me on to Toro y Moi, and I think...
Yeah.
I mean, I've been listening to him ever since. He's pretty prolific. Got some cool stuff.
Yeah, I only came across him through Spotify. Didn't realize who it was really. I think I got him mixed up with Gabriel Rodrigo E. Gabriel, because of the Y.
They got that Y.
But I heard a couple of tracks of his, and I thought they were just like dancey kind of glitchy electronica type things.
So this guy hops around with some even some house kind of EDM, electronic music, mixes it with some cool, real live instrumentation, kind of mixes some disco vibes, some grooves, a little bit of some callbacks to some 60s or 70s, 80s dance music. Yeah, kind of incorporates that throughout his throughout all of his tracks.
Yeah. So his real name is Chadwick Bradley Bundick.
I got Chaz.
Yeah, Chaz Bear. Chaz Bear.
So which one is it? Chaz Bear Bundick.
Well, I think his nickname is Chaz Bear, probably amongst certain people maybe that are close to him. But it is written on his Wikipedia, so maybe it's a common wide name for him.
I mean, we all got a couple different nicknames based on who you're different circles. Exactly, These guys call me Bear, these guys call me Chaz, and I'm Toro y Moi.
Yeah. And well, his name as well, he also said he came up with this name when he was 14 years old because he was coming up with he was like writing music by himself at that time, and he needed a name for something he recorded, and he just came up with that.
And that was quite a few years before he ever came out with an official release under that same name. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, one interviewer asked him why did it take so long for that to happen, and he was like, well, he put out a few things, and then it wasn't a while until like he got some momentum, like through people listening. Right. And some press and stuff like that, and then after that momentum and that reaction to his early releases, then he was just like, oh, okay, I'm going to start put out some more music now under this name. So
because he was back in Columbia, South Carolina.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
That's where he was. Small college town.
Yeah, he said it was like dead during the summer, but really happening during
all the
the
kids
school years
back at home.
Yeah, and he said it was like nothing to do other than like skate around and hang out in coffee shops with his friends and stuff. And
it's a classic high school kind of story coming.
Yeah, so he was like kind of a skater kid hanging out with his buddies, and he was listening to stuff like Weezer, I think, and the Pixies. Like he was into all that kind of sort of stuff when he was younger. And
even Michael Jackson, I guess you could say he influences every single one of all artists to an extent at this point.
Do you know how old Chaz? Are we going to call him Chaz, or what is she called?
Let's call him something different every single time.
Yeah, okay.
Well, Bear.
But we have a few. Chadwick. Yeah.
I actually don't know how old he is. He looks pretty young, though. He looks
super young, but like the stories he's telling and his albums, like when was his first one out? In like
2010 or something?
2010.
When I think Causers of This was 2010.
2010.
And I think he had he had started working on music before that.
Yeah.
Maybe some unofficial releases, but he also had that band Les Sins.
Oh, I didn't hear about that one. Les Sins.
Les Sins.
Okay.
Yeah, or it's, I don't know how you pronounce it, Lessons. I think it's kind of a double entendre kind of play on words there, which is cool.
Because he must have had a few bands in, because I think one was called The Heist.
Oh, The Heist and The Accomplice.
And The Accomplice. Yeah. Like when he was in high school or something like that?
Yeah, I think he started both those bands when he was in high school with his buddy.
Yeah.
I think the Peter Jameson or Jennings or something.
Yeah.
Who still plays bass with him on his live shows today.
Yeah.
Maybe not this year because nobody's doing live shows.
Yeah.
So he had a couple of different musical projects, and then I think he started getting some acclaim, like you said, with Toro y Moi. So they were like, let's kind of focus on this.
Yeah.
And kind of build this up and see where this goes.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's reached worldwide acclaim at this point, and probably most people who really like music have probably heard a track or two, even though they can't maybe name the name.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a few. There was like one, as I was looking through tracks for today, that I recognized, and I was like, is that him? Or is that a cover? Is that a sample? I can't tell.
Yeah.
I think it was him. I think it was one of his tracks that's out there, because he's like super prolific.
Yeah, he's good.
How many albums has he had now since 2010? Like
under Toro y Moi, there's I think 4 studio albums, and there's a couple that's like Soul Trash, which is
what is that?
I think it's like
it's a mix album or something.
Yeah, it's kind of a mixtape type of thing with a couple other collaborators or people remixing his stuff. Just some kind of a little more off the cuff. I don't think it's counted as a full studio album, but it's released with his other albums nonetheless.
Okay.
But I mean, so I was in Hawaii when I heard about this guy, and I fell in love with Underneath the Pine, which came out in 2011. That's his second record, but we can get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess he just started to get some worldwide acclaim or whatever, or local acclaim at least. So he came out with Causers of This, first album, in 2010. Are you familiar? Did you hear anything off of that track? Off that album?
I didn't recognize any of the tracks off of that album.
It's pretty cool. I mean, so
yeah.
he's kind of a pioneer of chillwave.
Yeah.
You heard that term? I think it's been going around. I don't know if it's so much very popular now, but it was in 2009, 2010, and he's kind of considered a pioneer of that genre.
Yeah, which I've heard him, I think no musician really likes to be pigeonholed in any type of genre. And
right, and I don't think
he doesn't really he's like, okay. I think the thing, that resonated with him the most is because there's this other artist called Washed Out.
Right.
That did the one of his tracks was used as the opening theme tune for Portlandia. I don't know if you heard that track.
Oh, I didn't put that together. That's cool. Yeah. I like that track though. I know that show.
It's really cool track. And I think him and the guy from Washed Out met Chaz Bear at a party at college or something, and they started talking about music. So when people said, about these genres of music, chillwave and all that, he was like, well, I don't know about being like, because he's compared to artists like Washed Out, and he was like, well, yeah, but we met him and we talked a lot about music and our inspirations. So he said it kind of makes sense because a lot of their inspirations were similar and the types of things that inspired them to make their music. So it kind of makes sense that their music they're creating now is similar, and then people have just come up with this name, this genre to describe it, kind of thing. But
which is cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to come out with music and have somebody be like, that guy invented that genre. Like whatever it might be. Maybe it's not your favorite thing, but like says something nonetheless.
Yeah. And I don't know why I wrote this as a note, but I was like, I would call it indie dreamwave is what I said.
That sounds better. That's a little more interesting.
I think because for me, like the sound is like, the first track we played was super electronic and glitchy and beaty,
pretty dancey,
kind of thing.
Yeah.
But but his repertoire is all over the place. But what you do hear a lot in his tracks is a very organic kind of indie feel, and then layered with this kind of, it's like a dreamy, relaxed sort of sound.
Atmospheric
probably
kind
where
of
the chill wave idea comes from.
Yeah, nice kind of solid beat, atmospheric.
Yeah,
electronica kind of sound. So
because he said so when he started making music. Well, so I guess like he was asked about how he got into music, and he was his mother got him piano lessons from the age of 8 until 12.
And when he started learning guitar, I think he switched. He was like, I'm kind of sick of it.
He said he really hated piano lessons, which is like me. I did piano lessons at young. I really didn't like them.
It seems like a common kind of trope or cliche. Like if people force you to do piano, a lot of people are like, oh, let's not do that anymore.
I think for me, it was like, well, the first piano teacher I had, she was like horrible to me.
That's never.
But fun. She was really nice to my dad whenever he came. And then
he's the one paying, right?
Exactly. Yeah. There you go. And then later on, it was just like because they were on Fridays after school. I mean, like, come on, man, it's Friday.
It's party
after
night.
Why Why
it just doesn't stop. No fun for Jay.
Yeah, but and then so he started playing guitar. After at age 12. And then he was saying, I guess probably skipping forward, but probably not that long because he came up with his name at 14.
Yeah.
But he said he was originally had a 4-track tape machine and was trying to do like acoustic music like Elliott Smith. Like he was just basically trying to imitate Elliott Smith is what he was saying.
That's one of his kind of big influences early on, especially.
Yeah. From like making music. And then he said from there, then he went on to messing around with beats and samples and stuff like that.
Yes, we started to kind of fall in love with some electronic stuff, even though it's not where he was coming from, like you said, more kind of Pixies, Weezer, Michael Jackson.
Yeah,
a little
that's
more
like the young stuff he was listening to growing up, and then Elliott Smith when he was trying to make music. That was his first artist that he mentioned, and then into the like the sort of beat electronic sampling type stuff. Yeah,
which I mean, another like. Other words to describe him, I've seen glo-fi.
Yeah.
Or hypnagogic pop.
How do you pronounce that?
Hypnagogic.
Because that's how another artist that we're covering in another episode, Ariel Pink, I heard that description labeled on him as well.
Right, yeah, I did see a couple similarities between those artists, and they might have some influence on each other even. Yeah. Or at least where they're coming from conceptually.
I don't even know what that word means. Was it hypnagogic?
Hypnagogic. Yeah, I think you guys tell us. Any listeners who know how to say that.
Write in.
Yeah, please, because I'd like to know. But it's kind of a cool word. And I don't know, some of the genre stuff's weird. Some people don't like being associated with some words. Some people like having a word attached to them. Yeah. So it's kind of hit or miss. It's subjective, but interesting word nonetheless. I'll give them that much.
For sure.
Whoever came up with that. So that's a pretty cool album. It's pretty chill.
Under the Pine.
Or are we on Underneath the Pine? Well, the first one, Causes of This.
Causes of This, yeah.
Yeah, which I think. Well, so let me back up. He started on Fruity Loops, right? And then I think that was the first DAW he had, and then he switched to Reason.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he was using to make this.
Yeah.
As far as I know, and so that's where he was kind of getting into some sampling and electronic stuff.
Yeah.
So that album kind of sounds housey, mixed with some R&B, a little hip hop.
Yeah.
As he was kind of getting in there.
Yeah.
Tribe Called Quest, I think, another one of his influences.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I mean, yeah, cool album. And then I think he got a pretty good response from it. Got the kind of chillwave label on him, and he was like, "Let's do it again."
Yeah.
And so then 2011, Underneath the Pine.
Yeah.
So that's probably my favorite album that he's come up with, and that's the one that I kind of discovered, where I discovered him and kind of fell in love.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to listen to that one?
I sort of skimmed through it, but I picked out a couple of tracks that I really liked. New Beat and Still Sound.
Yeah,
tracks that really resonated with me. But
totally.
Yeah.
I like that album. I think it's almost full kind of real instruments. I think you said there's maybe a couple drums in the background or a 4-on-the-floor kick kind of layered underneath, but for the most part it's all real bass, keyboards or piano, drums, which I kind of tend to be attracted to that as opposed to completely electronic stuff, I guess, personally. So I really appreciated it for that, and it's kind of a really groovy, kind of disco-y synth funk, a little sexy, pretty alluring kind of album.
Yeah. And he said he recorded it at home between tours for his first album, which is interesting, and his time off. And he said it was a stylistic departure because it used all live instrumentation and no samples, like you said. But he also cited horror movie soundtracks as his inspiration and space disco.
Space disco, I like the sound of that.
Yeah, and it was like two composers that he mentioned specifically, and I'm going to balls up these names, but I'm going to try and pronounce them. One's an Italian guy called Piero Umilani.
Perfect.
And the other one was Francois du Rubaix. I don't know how to pronounce Rub. It's like Roubaix. Like
Ruboy? Is that you just kind of don't say half of those words?
Maybe, yeah.
Half of those letters?
I should know this. I have French heritage, but I don't know how to speak French.
I don't. It sounds good to me. Oui, oui.
But I did dive into a couple of those guys' music, and I was like, oh damn, that's a whole nother world of sonic goodness. To listen to, and they both these guys have releases out on Spotify. I say it like they're like a new artist. They have releases on Spotify, but these they're compilation albums from like the 70s and 60s of like film soundtracks that they kind of thing. And I actually want to play a little bit from both of these artists.
Yeah, if we can, I'd love to hear that.
Should we do that, or should we play a little bit of Toro y Moi first to sort of set the scene?
Yeah, give him a little. Maybe let's throw on New Beat.
Okay.
I think it's a nice, attractive one.
We'll throw this on first.
Cool.
I'm hearing the little bit of Michael Jackson influence in that from off the wall.
Yeah, I feel that.
Just with the drum sounds and everything like that. Disco vibe as well. Yeah, so all live instrumentation.
As far as I know, he's got his own small, humble home studio where he's got everything he needs. Which is, that's the way to go, especially in 2020, DIY.
The COVID times.
Right.
Yeah, that's super vibey. I like that a lot.
Yeah, he's really good at coming up with these cool vibes, these cool little worlds that kind of suck you in, and you're like, where am I? Where am I going?
Yeah.
I think he started writing a lot of that stuff during the causers of this kind of time when that one was coming out.
Yeah.
So obviously it sounds like he's working on a lot of stuff as he's working on other stuff.
Yeah.
I think he said he gets bored pretty easily, so he's always kind of trying to switch it up.
Yeah, like jumps around a lot, kind of thing. He also said someone asked him like, "What music are you listening to when you're not listening to inspirations?" And he was just like, "Oh, I listen to my own tracks."
Yeah,
over and over again.
A little kind of reminds me of Kanye West or something. Somebody would say something like that.
I feel like, by the way, Toro y Moi is super humble, sweet person.
Yeah, he seems totally down to earth, real chill.
And I think the fact that he was just trying to say, I think like when he's working on tracks, like he's super obsessive and kind of a perfectionist. And so that's why he listens to his music over and over.
He's not just jamming in the car like, this is the dopest stuff I've ever heard.
Yeah, exactly. He's like analyzing,
just critiquing himself.
Yeah, falls to sleep with his headphones on, like, trying to think of, how to make the tracks better, kind of thing.
Yeah, how to improve his art, reflect on his own stuff. So that's, a super healthy and cool thing to do.
Yeah. And so another thing he said he does is every time before he makes an album, he puts a playlist together of other tracks that he's interested in.
Yeah, I think I saw that. That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, it does. It's an amazing idea because, and I've heard other artists do this as well, where you, because it's not like you're trying to copy a sound, but you're trying to capture like a mood or a feeling or a texture or a production texture sound kind of thing.
Which can be retranslated to a different genre or something, but you kind of take that vibe and reinvigorate
sound
it.
of the drums or whatever. And
totally.
He said he listens to a lot of, and I'm going to play this track next, which is one of the ones that not this track in particular, but this artist, this composer, is a movie soundtrack composer, someone that he cited that was an influence for that album.
Cool.
And, but he said like, actually for this album, he was listening to these old 70s tracks for production techniques as well. And you can kind of hear that in that track that we just played.
Yeah, I feel like it comes across nice.
Yeah, but he said like now in his most recent work, he's listening to that older stuff more to listen for like chords, patterns and sequences of what they played kind of thing. And then he's listening to newer stuff for production techniques. So he's he's like explored that in his earlier albums, and now he's moved on to exploring different combinations of inspirations.
That's super cool.
Like that. Yeah.
Kind of taking best from both worlds of the modern production techniques.
Yeah.
Older vibes.
Exactly.
Put them together, you got some cool groovy stuff.
Yeah. It's an amazing thing. And so I just want to spin a little bit of this track, Non Molaire. I don't know where it's from. I think it's from a movie. I got it from a compilation thing that's on Spotify.
I've not heard it.
Yeah, from Piero Umiliani. And I don't know if it's probably not this track in particular, but I think as he's creating playlists, it was probably another song that he was inspired by, kind of thing.
Sure.
But definitely in this track, this is like the most funkiest thing I heard. So I was like,
I'm excited to hear it.
So yeah.
That's a great track. I feel like you could really hear the underneath the pine.
Yeah.
What he was able to accomplish.
Yeah, if you listen to like the production techniques, it's like the drum sounds in particular, and then like those sort of just those weird sustainy woodblock type shakery things. Happening in the background, sort of thing. It's very like understated, but it sort of makes that texture, I think. It's
totally,
like,
yeah.
So a lot of the stuff he was listening to, I think, is kind of like exploring that realm of production technique.
Totally.
And then quickly, before we move on to talking more about Toro, I wanted to play his other inspiration that you cited for that album was a guy called Francois de Raboy, or Raboy?
Raboy?
Something like that, yeah.
Raboy.
And this one's like, I swear this has been sampled by artists, and I can't pinpoint who it is, but it reminds me a lot of like Air, that French band Air.
Okay, yeah, I have one particular track that I really like from Air. Yeah. That's mostly all I know.
I feel like if they didn't sample this, like they made a track that was really similar. And I don't know, you might hear something in this. Let's see. This part really reminds me of some Air, the end of an Air track or something. Yeah.
That's great. You can definitely hear that cinematic.
Yeah.
You know, that dynamic or depth.
And that was from a movie soundtrack, a film called Le Sort de l'Ange.
I'll have to check that one out.
I don't know what it's about, but it looks like criminals.
I'm going to have to...
There's a guy with a cigar, a guy with a mustache. They're all looking very pensive.
Some crooks.
Yeah, some
I'm going to have to check it out the local video store, I guess.
Yeah.
Head on down.
Hollywood Video.
Yeah.
Get down there.
I'm more of a Blockbuster guy.
Yeah. Well, you know.
That's a cool track.
Yeah, it's nice. I like hearing stuff like that.
You can definitely hear that, and especially some of Toro's other, or Chaz or Bear, whatever you want to call them. And I think the album Boo Boo, which we'll talk about in a couple, but you can definitely hear some of that cinematic, you know, piano, and you can obviously tell he's coming from kind of a piano-based mindset, I feel like.
Yeah,
I think he writes a lot of his songs starting with piano.
Oh yeah, I mean, being his first instrument, I guess whether he liked it or not, learning it, he sort of maybe gravitates to it a little bit when he's coming up with tunes and stuff like that. Yeah,
No, I think it was cool. So I mean, I think it was cool when he was coming up with the ideas for this album. He was thinking of his live shows.
Yeah,
and so I think that's one of the reasons why he wanted to do a lot of full instrumentation, so he can have a band, you know, and play with him and get that live element rather than being up there with a guy with a laptop.
Yeah.
Which he also does too, because he DJs. He kind of does that as well.
Yeah, he said when he first started touring, it was just him solo, and he'd get like $100 a night or something like that, maybe.
Yeah, just driving around by himself in his Ford Focus.
Ford Focus, yeah. And he said it was like, you know, super lonely. And after he was doing it for a while, he just started inviting some of his friends to come on the road with him for some company or something.
That's what I would do.
Yeah,
a little road trip, buddy.
Yeah,
that sounds fun to me.
Yeah. And then I guess like the more he started doing it and the more money he started making, he said it kind of became like coincidental that he was able to afford to have a band play with him live, because I think it's probably what he always wanted, right?
That's probably, I think it was kind of his goal, but you got to start somewhere and do what you can with what you have available.
Yeah, exactly.
I think he even said he had good timing.
Yeah.
With the way things kind of worked out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, super cool. If anyone's trying to listen to Toro y Moi, that's the album that I would start with.
Underneath the Pine.
Underneath the Pine, 2011. Streaming everywhere. I found it on Spotify.
Yeah.
That's where I would for sure start. And he has some other good stuff too. You want to talk about? I think after Underneath the Pine, he had the Freaking Out EP. I don't know if you heard that one. I listened to a couple tracks off it, and it was pretty cool. I think he wanted to do a couple more upbeat tunes so that he could have.
Yeah.
Add that to his live show.
Yeah, he was saying, someone asked him, why did you release something so quickly after that album? Because it was it's an EP, but it was like a substantial release of good tracks.
Right.
And he said he literally did that so he could have more upbeat songs to play live.
Which is, that's great. Yeah. So you can see this kind of pattern, how he's thinking about, well, what do I want to do for my live show? And how am I going to build this concept for my release?
Yeah, that's something he talked about a lot, actually. He seems to be someone that, well, on the surface of it, at least for me, like he's super creative and he dives into his influences and he's able to grab what he needs from those influences and then create something really sonically new and fresh. But he also seems to be someone that's very not self-conscious, but, well, he's definitely self-critical and a perfectionist, like he says. But the fact that I think sometimes, like, the more success he's gotten, it's been hard to separate like all the noise of his success.
I think that's one of the reasons why he's had these other bands, these other side projects
to distract him or something.
Yeah, like you said, he gets bored, so he has these other options, these other outlets to do kind of different stuff.
Yeah.
I think, like I was saying, Les Sins is still, a little more dancey.
Yeah.
So he got a little more electronic.
Yeah.
Yada yada.
Yeah.
I think, some more upbeat songs. He came out with that. I think he wrote that right kind of at the time that Underneath the Pine was coming out. I think he was listening to a lot of Daft Punk's Discovery album, which is a cool album. And I think he's kind of coming with some French house influence there.
Is that the one that had Pharrell Williams on it? Is that their newer one?
No, Discovery was the older one.
The older one,
yeah. That was like, I don't know, around the Homework came out. Yeah. Discovery was maybe the next one. I don't know. Yeah. You guys tell me. You're going to sound like a dummy right now.
They've only had like 3 albums. Haven't they? Daft Punk or something? I don't know.
I don't know. We'll do them in the next episode and we'll find out. We'll figure that out.
We'll unmask them here on Roots to Groove. You'll finally see their faces.
Yeah.
And we'll also tell you who
exclusive
Banksy
interviews.
Is. Yeah,
we got all the secrets at Roots to Grooves, okay? Little does everybody know.
No one knows. Yeah.
So, Freaking Out EP. After that, June 2009. And I guess that was kind of a compilation album of tracks that he was working on around the 2009 era, which was before, his first major release came out.
Yeah.
I listened to that and I didn't know that was kind of a compilation type thing. When I heard it, I thought it was like an album and I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Some, kind of similar aspects to Underneath the Pine and, kind of mixed with his first album. So it's kind of a little mix of both of those two, I would say. And it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I don't want to like hate on anybody, but some of it's a little more hit or miss.
Okay.
I guess, it's not as conceptually distilled.
Yeah.
It's
kind of say it's more poppy or something like that, or more mainstreamy.
It's a little bit more kind of a little both. It's a little more weird, but a little bit more poppy. Like I don't know. I'm not an expert on that album, so I don't want to speak to it too much. But it's got some groovy stuff that he's known for. Some cool beats, some cool vibes.
Yeah.
Maybe like the songwriting aspect isn't as strong, like the song structures.
Yeah.
But again, what he really excels at is vibes, I think.
Yeah.
Kind of creating that sonic sound, that sonic landscape, and he does a really good job of that, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
So that's a cool album. I would check out as well. After that, Anything in Return, the third LP, 2013.
Oh, I didn't check anything out about that. Oh, damn.
Yeah, so he's just at this point after 2010, he was kind of busting stuff out.
Yeah.
Pretty prolifically every year.
What was that album like, music-wise? Is it?
I don't know exactly. I didn't do too much research on it. I've listened to it, and I don't want to speak to it too much. But again, kind of more some groovy stuff, some kind of funky stuff. I don't know. I should have done some more research on that one, but like I said, I'm like a underneath the pine guy.
Yeah, it's a tough thing, guys, because this guy has so many albums out, and it hit me sideways because I didn't realize. I didn't realize they had so much stuff out. And
he's got some deep cuts, a lot of good stuff on these albums. I think Anything in Return was a little bit longer too, so it was a little more substantial. I think this is where some songwriting structure helped it excel a little bit more. And it kept it a little more interesting and a little more cinematic, is what I would say about it. But it's a good listen nonetheless.
Yeah.
Either way.
And then where does Outer Peace come into this? Is that the next one after that?
Outer Peace was the latest one in 2019 that came out, which is a cool album. But after Anything in Return in 2013, I guess the next one was What For? And I don't know where I have that. That was 2015. And that's pretty old school psychedelic pop and rock. I think it's a little more catchy.
Okay.
There's some good bops on there. A little bit better vocals than some of his other stuff.
Yeah.
It just seems like he was starting to really hone his craft a little bit more, I guess.
Okay.
And so all these ideas he's been coming out with from 2010 are starting to kind of coalesce and really make something super cool.
Was that the one that he said, because I think like he mentioned one album specifically where he was literally trying to just flex his production skills and show people what he could do production wise? Is that the one? Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe. Possibly.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of where he's coming from in his head when he's coming out with these albums. Like what can I feature? What can I show people that I can do? Yeah. So he is kind of switching it up. But I think What For was some pretty cool catchy songs, good vocals, good production. Maybe it was. I mean, that's where he was kind of trying to highlight production a little bit more. Not sure, but it's got a nice modern punch to it.
Is there a track that sticks out for you from that album? That we should spin, or
there was one called. No, I'm thinking of a different album.
Okay.
So no, but I would.
This is the lost album. Right now.
Yeah, exactly. We don't know anything about it. Nobody does. But it's cool. It's good stuff. I think if you listen to these in his discography through the way we're describing, you can hear a little bit of his growth as an artist. You can kind of see what he's trying to achieve. Yeah. In that context. Yeah. That was 2015, and that was a pretty good album. And after that was, I guess, Outer Peace 2019. Yeah. I don't know what he's doing in between. Maybe I'm missing something, but I think he has a few other releases in there.
There was one called Boo Boo.
Oh, no, I totally skipped over Boo Boo. I think I put these in the wrong order. So, yeah, Boo Boo was 2017.
Damn, man, he's just like album after album.
Yeah, so he's being pretty prolific. And Boo Boo, 2017, synth funk, vaporwave a little bit, some cool bass lines, really vibey 80s synths throughout. Kind of dark and cinematic.
Oh yeah,
I would say.
Really?
That's probably my second favorite album.
What? Okay,
out of his discography.
Let's try and listen to a bit of that. Is there a track that you like?
Yeah, let me pull one up real quick. Da, da, da. Girl Like You. That one's a dope jam that I really like.
Aren't you gonna stay? Keep me till the sun comes up. Crack a Pellegrino from the bottle, no cup. That was summer love, that was summer love. Late night, cemetery. Think it's still a light out. Temporary love in sight now. Life is scary, baby, look now.
Pretty dope. What do you think about auto-tune vocals like that?
Oh, I didn't really notice it, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. I just been kind of noticing that in music in general, and I kind of really like it if it's done in a nice finessed way. I think it sounds pretty cool.
I don't like it if it's overused, like
Totally.
it is in a lot of trap music. There's a lot of artists that seemingly can't release a song without putting it on their vocals.
Yeah, I think it's a cool effect if
Yeah.
you use it minimalistically.
Well, it's weird because
Tastefully.
I think like the way it was invented was to fix minor imperfections, and then people started abusing it to like to an effect. Not well, abusing is a bad word, I guess. I guess like people discover they can use it in an artistic way, which, you know. is
Yeah, and
cool.
more and more, I think it's being used as an effect or a little vibe treatment.
And I think in that track it was used to the best the way I like to hear it. In a track.
Yeah, well, I think that kind of music, it kind of works really well, even though because this whole album has like a little bit of a nostalgic vintage kind of.
Yeah, well, it's that's very sort of 80s sounding to me, and
Totally.
I think before auto tune they had the vocoder. Like,
I guess that's
with the like the
little tube,
transparent tube that you put in your mouth, and you go, and you're like doing like keyboard things and blowing through it or something. Or
which that stuff is pretty cool because they were doing that stuff kind of back in the day.
Yeah.
Like quite a bit of time ago when I don't know. I just saw a couple weird videos and I'm like,
I think like Herbie Hancock did it, and
it's a pretty futuristic
Parliament
sound if you do it
Fountain,
right.
so-
You know, which is
exactly,
like,
yeah.
you know, even like Daft Punk with the vocoder kind of effect, kind of.
That is like that's not an auto tune effect. That is like vocoder sounding to me. Daft Punk stuff, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But I mean, mixing all these ideas up a little bit to create unique vocals is cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, the rest of the album is kind of like that. It's super cool, super vibey, kind of that older vintage kind of thing, but with these like modern, you know, production techniques like use of auto tune. Yeah. And I think like that blends it together really nicely for me.
So it's crazy, like from album to album, he's like quite. I don't want to say drastically different, but in a way, like
totally.
Like if you like rewind this episode, go back to the first track we played versus that one, you wouldn't think it was the same artist.
Yeah, I think he does a really good job of that.
Yeah.
Showing a different side of him.
Yeah.
Growing a little bit, trying something new, and creating a different vibe each release. Mm-hmm. But listen to that album and listen to Underneath the Pine, and you can obviously tell it's the same guy.
Yeah.
And I think that's a cool testament to a good artist.
Yeah, I think there's definitely underlying sound and feel between all of his albums. There is something consistent there, I feel like.
Yeah.
Even though
it's the groove.
It's the groove, yeah, that's it. That's what it is.
He brings the groove from the roots.
Yeah.
The roots to grooves reference there.
Yeah.
So I mean that was his 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that doesn't feel that long ago, but I think I found that album on a road trip or something.
Okay.
So it was a good vibes there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's for the eclipse.
Oh yeah, you went on a road trip for the eclipse.
Yeah, that eclipse in 2017, like the full solar eclipse.
Oh.
and we had to drive to Oregon to see it.
Oh, okay.
And that's where I listened to that album. So I have that connection.
Did you see the actual full solar eclipse? Did
Yeah.
it get dark?
Yeah, it got dark.
Oh, damn.
And the birds went to sleep, and it got cold, and it was scary.
Oh, shit. Actually, yeah.
I highly recommend everybody seeing that if you get the opportunity.
Was there another one since then?
There was one in South America in 2019. I think the next one in America is supposed to be like 2021.
So I think what happened is in 2017, I was running. I don't run a lot, but I was running in my neighborhood in Capitol Hill in 2017 during the eclipse.
Just casual run.
Well, because I was like, you're not going to see it up here. But it kind of got like, it was almost like you put sunglasses on. And that was it.
Just kind of dim.
Like the birds were just like, oh.
A little weird.
They were a little weird. The birds were weird. And I was out and stuff. Yeah, but,
yeah, I think you could see some effect, but you had to be in that path of totality to. It's completely.
To really see it,
yeah, I mean, I recommend it to anybody. It's a amazing
phenomenon.
Yeah, it's pretty freaky and weird. So I mean, you can see where a lot of these stories from the Mayans and stuff about gods and the world probably might have come from.
Probably might have.
Probably. Like I digress. Let's get back on track here. I don't know what I'm talking about. This is not a science podcast.
Yeah, it could be. Well,
maybe we'll switch it.
Well, actually, though, but his next album was called Outer Peace.
Yeah. So then 2019. I don't know. Did we skip what for? Let me go.
Well, because you were talking about all this science stuff, and then
I just put these two albums in the wrong order, so I'm all backed up. But let's go to 2019, Outer Peace.
Well, yeah, because you're talking about this science stuff, and there's a track that I pulled of his called Lords of the Universe. So
maybe we should give that one a little listen.
Maybe we should listen.
That one's off of Outer Peace?
Yeah.
Let's give that a little listen real quick.
Yeah, let's give it a look. So by this time, he's fully embraced the upbeat.
I think he wanted to do that with that album.
Yeah.
I think he meant to make it a little bit more fun. I think he wanted to make it a little more upbeat.
Yeah.
Kind of expand his range. Because he's done some upbeat, dancey stuff before, but I think he wanted to like kind of get a little more creative, explore a little bit more new territories. You can hear it. It's a pretty fun, kind of energetic kind of record.
Yeah.
And I think most of the songs are kind of a little bit in that vibe. They got their own things going on, but it's generally kind of fun and upbeat like that. I think he said he wanted to make it something fun to listen to in the car, which, you know, cars and music, you know, there's some kind of connection there that everyone relates to. Cause
I mean, I love that. Yeah. I mean, back in the day, I used to make, so on trips with my parents, I lived in the UK, and they used to like to drive all the way to Belgium or France or the Netherlands.
Just casually drive to another country.
So, you know,
day trip.
Wake up at 4 a.m, I'd sleep in the back of the car, bring my pillow and my duvet and my comforter or whatever.
It's relatively close though. How long are we talking? Like a 2-hour trip?
Yeah, actually, yeah. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, probably 4 hours to Belgium driving. But I'd always make these little mixtapes, you know. I'd like do them beforehand, like a week beforehand.
Getting ready for this trip.
And put them on. And yeah, so a lot of music I listened to growing up was staring out of the window, driving through Europe somewhere.
Yeah, just getting lost in the countryside.
Yeah, listening to tracks as like the scenery's passing by.
I mean, I'll just throw on a good album that I want to listen to, get a cup of coffee, and just kind of aimlessly drive around for a while. I think it's great.
It's a nice thing to do.
It's like meditation.
Yeah.
So I mean, that, you know, some more vintage grooves on this album.
Yeah.
Like you can hear kind of, I mean, that sounds kind of like some kind of 70s disco kind of beat.
For sure.
It's a little spacey. There's still some R&B, which he always goes back to, but it's artsy, it's fun. It's kind of like a all-night dance party kind of vibe.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if I mean, I was listening to it in the daytime, but it could be at night. I think it's a daytime thing for me. But yeah, it's you know, a little more digitized. I think he was using a little more hardware on this than real instruments.
Yeah.
Again, kind of
I hear that. Yeah.
Kind of displaying his ability to do either or.
Yeah.
Which is cool. So I mean, I think that's definitely a fun record. Were you able to listen to any other tracks off that?
There was one more that caught my ear off of that album, and it was called Ordinary Pleasure.
Yeah, I think that's another good one too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think that's a pretty accessible record if you want to listen to some Toro that's pretty fun and kind of gives it to you right away. Yeah. It's not asking too much of the listener. It's kind of like, here's the candy. It's tasty and it's yummy. Here it is immediately. He's
definitely one of these artists that I want to listen to the full albums for. Like, I don't always get all the time in the world before Roots to Grooves for a new artist. So
busy guy. Jay's a busy guy.
I'm quickly trying to research and find tracks in like an hour kind of thing. And I just like skim through. It's like that one. And I think that's like vibey kind of thing. But for sure, I was like hearing stuff in all those albums that's like, okay, I got to just put this on from beginning to end. And like,
I think another good sign of a good artist when you want to listen to the rest of the stuff, it's not just a good single. Yeah. And I think a lot of these songs go over well as album songs rather than here's a banging single. And some of them do hit that mark for sure. He has probably at least one on every album that's just like a nice solid single, I think. But I don't know, maybe it's old school to listen to full albums these days.
I think we've had this discussion before.
I think it's an ongoing conversation in the music.
Yeah, because I feel like, especially with these artists that, you know, especially Toro y Moi, he doesn't go to make a song. He goes to make an album. Yeah. Like, and he said that, like I'll say it again. I said it earlier. Like every time before he does an album, he puts together a playlist of inspirations, and that's what inspires him sonically, production wise.
So he's getting a mindset ready. Yeah, he's seeing where he wants to go.
Yeah, to like create a body of work, like a bunch of tracks, kind of thing. And yeah, I mean, you know, I think it depends what type of music listener you are. I feel like the type of people that listen to him are not people that just skip around and just listen to songs. Maybe a little bit, but like, I feel like people that really are into him and listening to every track on his album, and appreciating it.
That's the way I would recommend it. I would start with Underneath the Pine, listen to that all the way through, and you're not going to get bored. You're going to be like, I want more of that, and then listen to like maybe ordinary pleasure, or outer peace.
Yeah.
As a whole.
Yeah.
Get some coffee, go on a drive.
Exactly. Yeah.
Throw some sunglasses on.
Yeah.
And just zone out to it because it's good.
Nice.
I think after Outer Peace, I think he's released maybe like another single or something. Maybe like I'm trying to find it, but I can't find it right now. But I mean, that's his last full length LP, and it's pretty fun. It's pretty good.
Last year.
Yeah. So, and I think he's coming out with something else. If I was reading correctly, or in an interview, I think he said he's starting working on his next project already. So it's in the works.
I would not doubt it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how prolific it is. Yeah. He has a single out called The Difference that came out this year.
Okay, that's what I was trying to, which I haven't even heard. So, I mean, you guys tell me, listeners, please let me know.
I've not heard it yet.
I'll listen to it on my way home, maybe.
But then he did release this mixtape called Soul Trash. And
that was a little more experimental stuff, kind of a little more electronic based. I don't know if it's a remix album.
Yeah, Pitchfork says they said this in January of last year. Okay. Quite a while ago.
So he's due for a release.
Yeah, it said he just released quietly what sounds like a new mixtape in an Instagram post. He posted a Dropbox link to the new music, and it was available for free download originally. Now he took the Instagram post down, and I don't think the Dropbox link is available. But the mixtape is out on Spotify. So I think there's a question mark right now whether he actually wrote any of the music on this, or whether it was just stuff.
That's the question mark in my head too. I'm not sure who did it, but he definitely was collaborating, I think. And it's definitely not a full-length LP project.
There are no other artists, I don't think, credited on.
Okay, maybe I was wrong. I thought I saw a feature or
maybe
a collaborator, but I don't know what I'm talking about as far as that album goes, I guess.
Well, because there was one track on there that I really liked. That was really catchy, and I might play a little bit of it. But I'm just trying to look up the album. Okay, yeah, I guess there's Elijah Kessler was on one track. Old Grape God.
So he's working with a couple cats.
Yeah, but actually most of this stuff on here is him. Yeah.
It's cool. I think I dove into that a little bit, and it's some cool stuff, a little more electronic.
Yeah.
Not the Toro y Moi LP kind of cinematic universe type thing.
Yeah.
It's just a little more off the cuff.
Maybe that's why he released it that way, so people wouldn't think it was him.
Totally.
But it kind of is, wasn't it?
And I mean, you can see this guy wants to release all kinds of stuff, and he just doesn't know which label, name to put it under, I guess.
I feel like at this point though, he can't really do any wrong. He should just not care about that too much and just put it out, because I think people will love it.
I think people mostly his fans love all the stuff, all his different projects and stuff, so it's not too weird or out of the ordinary for the fans to like that just as much, even though it's a little bit different genre.
Here's this track though. It's called Drip Bounce _7_24_18.
They got some funky names on here.
So he maybe made Drip Bounce in July of 2018.
Yeah, sounds good to me. I'm sure that's it.
Let me get it right.
Got lost again around 25th.
So yeah,
Maybe I was completely wrong, because that sounds more kind of bedroom lo-fi indie rather than what I was saying, that album's more electronic.
that one.
Now I'm confused.
That one did, but that's I think the very last track.
Okay, maybe it's
on
just...
that mix. I think there's other ones that are more like what you're saying.
Sounds good though. I like that.
Yeah, and
Pretty chill.
I can't tell whether that was a sample or something he did, and
I feel like it's almost kind of like a B-sides kind of record. Like, here's some ideas that never got put on an LP.
Yeah,
And wanted to put them out anyway though.
Yeah, B-sides. That's an old throwback as well. No one does B-sides anymore.
Yeah, I feel like they should. I think a lot of cool old school bands have a cool B-side that I like.
Did.
I've never heard of it, and I'm like, I discover it randomly, and I'm like, this is dope.
Smashing Pumpkins was a band that did that. Out of all people to get this, my dad got a Smashing Pumpkins album, and it was a compilation of B-sides. And I actually like those more than some of their other tracks.
Before they got big, or on their way up, or when was this?
They were already big. They released that in like the late 90s, I think.
Okay, gotcha. I never heard that.
Yeah, it's just...
I like me some Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah, they're really good. And this B-sides album was just really cool because it wasn't like, big hits. There was some really interesting tracks.
Showing a little bit of a different side of Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah,
Not just their kind of grungy, thrashy kind of thing.
I was still grungy, thrashy for sure.
Oh, well, there you go. That's what they do best.
But it was definitely, I think a B-side is kind of like a, the band, but not quite the band type sound.
Yeah.
When they're a bit more experimental,
like we don't
in the studio or something like that.
We don't want to present this as us, but we want to put it out there for people to share,
Exactly, yeah.
Because it's good stuff still. That's fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I got on Toro y Moi. Chaz Bundick from Columbia, South Carolina.
Yeah.
Multi-instrumentalist, producer, singer, songwriter.
We also didn't say that I think his mother is Filipino and his dad's African American, so he's got some interesting heritage there to draw upon.
And that must have been interesting being in South Carolina. I don't think that's like the most diverse place in the U.S.
He got asked that and he was like, well, it was like, maybe I like thought about which lunch table to sit at. But he said apart from that, he just kind of focused on his own interests.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and we see where that ended up now.
For sure, yeah.
I'm glad he did.
Got it with the Skater Crew, listening to Weezer and the Pixies and Elliott Smith picking up his acoustic guitar, and then now doing all this most interesting stuff.
Cool, groovy, funky stuff.
For sure.
Embracing the DIY style.
Yeah.
I definitely, like I said before, listen to Underneath the Pine. That's where I would start.
Okay.
Second outer piece.
Yeah.
And if you like that stuff, you get into the rest of the discography.
Nice. Good one.
It's super fun. Do you want to play us out with Ordinary Pleasure off that 2009 LP?
All right, let's go for it. All right.
Thanks, guys. Roots to Groove is out. Jay and Jesse.
We'll see you next time.
Peace.
It's always the same as always. It's a game that we play, no one's safe. Maximize all the pleasure, even with all this weather. Nothing can make it better.
Roots to Grooves is a production of Signl Radio. For more music and independent culture, visit signalradio.com.